So I don't talk about a lot of hands, but back in 2016, I played a lot of lag, loose aggressive. I felt the games here were so tight that there was more money to be made just getting people to fold basically anything besides the nuts than winning mostly at Showdown, which is what worked a lot in Wisconsin, which was the only place I played, you know, any significant amount of hours before I moved here. So here are two hands that are like shocking that they worked, but at the time made a ton of sense to run these plays. The first was at Bellagio. Both are 1-3. This one's at Bellagio. I had ace-5 suited. Don't remember how I got to the flop. I don't know, someone raised and I called, or maybe a bunch of us limped, don't remember. The flop had 2 aces and 2 hearts. There were like 5 of us to the flop, a couple of checks, one guy bets. Now, it was pretty rare for someone to bet with a draw, so I thought he had an ace. I called. My plan was if I hit a 5 and have aces full of 5s, I'll double through him, he'll only have trips. If any draw comes in, mostly the hearts, but any other kind of straight draw, I could get him to fold. The only thing would be I really hope a heart doesn't come as he hits a boat. You know, that would be a catastrophe, but whatever, that's rare. So he bet the flop, I called. The turn did not bring a third heart. I did not hit my 5. He bet again, I called again. The river was the 10 of hearts. So he bet 35. So the flop bet was probably like 15 or 20. The betting didn't really increase, which made me think, you know, on the river, he had his trips. He didn't know how to slow down. He didn't know what to do if he checked and I bet. So he just continued betting, but he was worried. That's why the bet wasn't that big. So he bet 35 on the river. I'm turning my trips into a bluff. I'm trying to get him to fold trips with a slightly better kicker. I make it 135. He doesn't think for that long, and he folds the jack high flush face up. He had the jack of hearts. I forgot his second card. Let's just say 9 of hearts. He folded jack 9 of hearts face up. If I thought he had a flush, I would never have tried to get him to fold. I wasn't trying to get people to fold jack high flushes back then. I thought he had trips, no kicker, and he thought, you know, he's probably just tying if I have trips. That's his best case scenario, but most likely I have hearts. So it was rare of him to bet the flop with hearts and then barrel the turn with hearts again. That's how easy it was to get people to fold, and this is how tight they were. I made it 100 more, and he folded the third nut flush face up, barely thinking about it. The second hand is from Aria. The second one's actually my favorite. There's a friend of mine, we went to middle school together. He actually likes the Bellagio hand more, but this Aria hand is my favorite. The background you need to know, there was this kid with a Kansas City Royals hat. He played 2 hands before the hand I'm about to tell you. One, I thought was a terrible fold. It happened to work because he folded face up, the other guy showed his cards. He folded an overpair, and he was behind. I thought still it was a terrible fold. The second time, I thought it made a little more sense. He folded another overpair. I thought it made a little more sense based on the action and the board, and the opponent in that hand showed also, and he was correct again. So in his mind, folding overpairs has done him wonders. Like, his brain has been conditioned this session to fold overpairs and to feel good about it. So that helped me a lot. So he raised, a bunch of people called. I was 1 off the button. I guess we call that the cutoff. I had ace-6. There was one guy behind me. An old man on the button was the only one behind me. Everyone else was in front of me. So the flop was 6-5-5, 2 spades. Everyone checked to me. I was confident that the Kansas City Royals had an overpair and didn't like this board. Also, he didn't like it being out of position like 5 or 6 ways. I was confident, since no one else bet after he checked the pre-flop raiser, that no one else had much. I was only kind of worried about the guy behind me, and it really helped me that the old man on the button checked out a turn. Action came to me, and like 2 seconds after it was on me, before I did anything, he checked. So I was pretty confident he's gonna fold when I bet. So I bet about 40. The old guy on the button folded. Kansas City Royals didn't like it, but he called. Everyone else folded. Best card in the deck came on the turn, 7 of spades. So the flop was 6-5-5 with 2 spades. Turn is the 7 of spades. The best hand Kansas City Royals can possibly have is aces with the ace of spades. It actually helps me that he has, if he has the spade, because that means he'll call here. There's no way he's folding an overpair with the nut flush draw, as much as he doesn't like this board. He'll call here with his nut flush draw, and then on non-spade rivers, I can bet big and get him to fold. If he had like the 2 red aces on 5, 5, 6, 7, 3 spades, he might just fold here. But with the ace of spades in his hand, I can get him to call a bet on the turn and then fold on the river, and I get more money out of him that way. So I bet about 80, he called, still didn't like it. I don't remember what the river was. It was like 2016, I don't remember. He checked. It was not another spade, because I would have shut down if it were another spade. He checked. I went all in for about 160. He didn't think for that long, and he folded aces face up. So that's how tight people were in 2016. I guess it was really going on at the end of 2015. I moved here during March Madness in 2015. So at first, games were amazing. And even after the basketball tournament ended for a while, I guess I just happened to be finding great games for a few weeks before, you know, I got into like the summer and the end of 2015, and it got to the point where I felt games were so tight that for the bulk of 2016, I was playing lag like this and trying to get people to fold. So not every hand worked out like this. Plenty of hands didn't. I actually kept track for a while. Every hand like this that I had never played this way in my life, like trying to get people to fold overpairs, I was keeping pretty good track for my time as a lag player. All the wins, all the losses, and I think over like 8 months I ended up with about $1,500 more than I would have had otherwise, which is interesting because it was incredibly volatile, incredibly stressful. You had to be so much more focused trying to get people to fold overpairs and sets and straights, and over 8 months I only got like $1,500 more. So it was more money, but probably not an amount that was worth it, like an extra $200 a month. You know, as I was doing it, it felt like it was a little more successful than that, but it was cool to try. It was cool that I guess I would call it at least a mild success, maybe a fair success. And that's really how tight the games are. I was actually like embarrassed that I moved here thinking Vegas was like the poker mecca of the world, and then it was that easy to get people to fold overpairs and apparently jack high flushes at Bellagio.